Hello dear students, welcome to the session. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is anatomy of flowering plants. We have compiled the chapter into small segments so that you can learn this chapter in a very less time. In today's session we are going to complete tissues and the types of tissues in detail, right? So be with us, prepare accordingly, read NCERT, keep NCERT along with you. All the points discussed in this lecture will be from NCERT only, right? With some extensions which are going to be told to you in the class. Okay, so let's begin. So if I ask you a simple question that what is the meaning of the term anatomy, what you are going to tell me? You have learned that anatomy is nothing but the study of internal organization of any organism. In this image also you can see that this is a cross section, transverse section of a root, right? So in the previous chapter, morphology of flowering plants, what you have learned? You have learned the external appearance of plants, how a plant is going to be uh, visible from outside, right? In this chapter particularly we are going to learn that if we cut that particular plant, what structures are going to be visible to us inside that plant. That is the content of the chapter. Okay, so let's begin. You can see that here it is mentioned what is the meaning of anatomy. It is the study of internal structure of plants. Okay, what is the meaning? It is study of internal structure of plant. For example, let's suppose that this is a plant which you are looking at, and let's suppose I am drawing it very roughly. Okay, this is a root with some of the branches, and let's suppose here you have leaves, right? Like this. Okay, let's suppose this is the condition, this is the plant. So what is visible to you? You have learned in the previous chapter. You can see leaves here, you can see stem, you can see root, right? Maybe you can be able to see some birds, flowers and everything which are visible. It is called morphology, right? So different organs are visible to you, like leaf, like stem, like root, right? But if I cut the section of this leaf, if I cut the section of this stem, and if I cut the section of this root, what structures are hidden inside, what are the internal structures of these different organs, right? How the cells are arranged, which kind of tissues are present, which kind of cells are present, right? This all we are going to learn in anatomy. So you understood what is the meaning of study of internal structure or internal organization. Okay, now different organs in plants show differences in their internal structure. Definitely, just open your NCERT and you have been given many diagrams in this chapter. Just look at the diagram of transverse section of root, transverse section of stem and transverse section of leaf, right? Root, stem and leaf, these are the main three organs which exist in any kind of plant. When you will cut these three organs, you will see the internal organization is very different from each other. The kind of arrangement of cells and tissues or types of cells and tissues you are going to see in the root will not be present in the exact same way in the stem as well as in the leaf. So there are characteristic differences in the sections of root, stem and leaf, right? This is what we have to learn. Now, within the angiosperms, the monocots and dicots are also seen to be anatomically different, right? If I talk about angiosperms, okay, the flowering plants, you know that angiosperm itself, they are divided into, okay, like they are divided into two categories, right? Dicots and monocots, or you can say dicotyledony and monocotyledony. I'm writing in short, dicot and monocots, right? So when you will see the stem, when you see the root, and when you will see the leaf here, it will be different from the stem, root and leaf here. Okay, there are differences in these structures. So what you are able to understand from these 2-3 lines, you have to understand that the meaning of anatomy is when we cut the section of you can say plant, we will see the internal structure, right? Now, leaf, stem and root, these are the three major organs. Within one single plant, in the different parts of that plant, that is the stem, leaf and root, right? When you will cut them, you will see a lot of differences among these different structures of a same plant. Are you trying to understand what I'm saying? This is one single plant. Okay, the section over here, the section from here and the section from here will not be same, right? There must be differences. Maybe the arrangement of tissues are different, maybe the type of tissues which are present, they are different, right? So there are characteristic differences in between single plant, different organs. Okay, this is the meaning of first line. Second line is telling that within all the angiosperms, within the flowering plants itself, right, when you will see dicots and monocots, the two types of flowering plants, okay, when you will see the dicot and monocot, you will see lot of differences in between the stem, root and leaf of dicot and monocot. The same organ of dicot and monocot will not look same. There will be characteristic differences in dicot and monocot. One of the difference, can you write in the comments if you have revised this chapter? Okay, I will tell you one difference. In the stem of dicot, when you will be seeing, you will see the vascular bundles are present in a ring like condition in dicot stem. But same thing, if you are going to, same character, if you are going to see what is the arrangement of vascular bundle in the monocot stem, what you are going to see, they are scattered throughout the stem section. So just look at this diagram of the monocot stem and dicot stem and try to analyze. There are multiple differences which are present in the same organ in between the dicot and monocot. Understood? Okay. Now, internal structures also show adaptations to diverse environment. Okay, what is the meaning of this line? Why we are seeing characteristic differences in between the internal structures of this plant? Because they are adapted in that way, right? For example, if you think about leaf, if you will cut that leaf, you will see a particular type of tissue in the leaf which is called mesophyll tissue. That mesophyll tissue is there because the major function of that leaf is to do photosynthesis, right? So because of this internal structure, you are able to see a particular characteristic function being performed by that particular organ, right? A leaf is able to do photosynthesis because of its cells which are present in that organ. And what are those cells? They are mesophyll cells. Which tissue they are forming? They are forming mesophyll tissue, which is having abundant amount of chloroplast. And as a result, it can do photosynthesis. Understood what I'm trying to say here? So because of the functions they are performing, they have adapted themselves to become like that. Okay, one more example I will tell you. In monocots, you will see that monocot plants, like for example many grasses, they are present, they can survive in very dry conditions also, in very xeric conditions also. How they are able to survive? Because they have some specific cells which are adapted for performing a specific function, that is rolling or curling of leaf inwards. And that special type of cell is called bulliform cell, which is a modification of normal epidermal cell, which you are going to read in this chapter. Understood? So this is small background, or you can say a small introduction about this chapter. I hope you have understood that what is the meaning of anatomy, and these 2-3 points which are written in NCERT, they are very important, right? When you will look at a plant, okay, the stem, root and leaf, they will be having different organization of the cells, they will be having different tissues, they will be having different type of arrangement of these tissues. So internally they will not be looking same. And when you will look at the same organ in two different plants, that is dicot and monocot, there also you will find characteristic differences, right? And you will also be able to notice that the internal structures, okay, they vary because they have adapted themselves as per the prevailing environmental conditions. Understood? Okay, now we can move forward and we can learn what is the meaning of tissues. Okay, so if I'm talking about internal structure of plant, definitely if I will cut the section, okay, let's suppose if I talk about one organ, right? If you want to study this organ in detail, right? Definitely this organ will be made up of what? This organ will be made up of different type of tissues, right? So if you want to learn what function an organ is performing, definitely you have to see that this organ is made up of what tissues, right? So what is the meaning of tissue? Tissue actually is made up of what? Tissue is made up of different types of cells, or maybe same type of cells also, that can vary. Okay, and better that I should draw the arrows in this direction to avoid any kind of confusions, right? Different type of cells, they will organize to form tissues. Tissues, they organize to form organ, right? So see, the thing is that what is the meaning of tissue? Tissue is a group of cells. Okay, tissue is a group of cells, right? And these cells, they must have a common origin and they must perform a common function. This definition of tissue, please remember, it is very important. A tissue is what? It is a group of cells which have common origin and which can perform a common function. Can you give me any example of a plant tissue? Yes, you can give, right? Let's suppose I'm talking about parenchymatous tissue, okay? Or a special type of parenchyma which can do photosynthesis. So I'm writing here mesophyll tissue, okay? Mesophyll tissue. Mesophyll tissue is made up of, this is a tissue, right? This mesophyll tissue is making what? This is making an organ. What is the name of an organ which is formed by mesophyll tissue? That is leaf, right? Mesophyll tissue is made up of specific mesophyll cells. Okay, mesophyll cells. Of these mesophyll cells, they all are having same function. What is their function? They have a lot of chloroplast and they will be doing photosynthesis, right? And what is the origin? They all are originated from a single cell that is called meristematic cell. Okay, meristematic cell, and all of them, they perform a common function that is called photosynthesis. So these group of cells which are originated from a single origin, which are doing a common function, same function, okay, they will be making a tissue which is called mesophyll tissue. Understood? This is one example. One more example I can quote over here. Let's suppose I'm talking about another example, that is xylem. Okay, xylem is an example of complex tissue. This xylem is made up of four different type of cells. Okay, this xylem tissue is made up of four different type of cells. What are those cells? Maybe you know them. You have learned in class 9th also. And here also you can see this xylem is made up of different type of cells like vessels, okay, tracheids, okay, xylem fiber, and xylem parenchyma. These are four different type of cells which form this tissue. Okay, these are four different cells. Okay, these are four different cells which form this tissue which is called xylem. Okay, now all these four cells, okay, they have a common origin. And what is that common origin? That common origin is meristematic cell. So they all have evolved from meristematic cell, right? And what function they perform? They perform a common function. What is that common function? That is conduction of water, right? Water conduction. And one more work is there, that is mechanical support. They provide mechanical support, mechanical strength, because majority of them are dead, right? And they also serve a very important role, that is water conduction, right? So what you understood here? You understood that tissue is what? Tissue is a group of cells. Okay, these cells can be similar or they can be dissimilar. Like in this case, vessel, tracheid, fiber, parenchyma all look very different from each other, right? But in mesophyll cells, they can be same, right? Or they can be different also, right? So they all have common origin. These all cells of this tissue, they are formed from one single cell, that is meristematic cell, and they will work together as a unit to perform a common function, that is water conduction and mechanical support here. So I hope this is clear what is the meaning of tissue in plants, right? Now, there are different types of tissues also. Okay, what are the different types of tissues? Here you can see they have mentioned that there are different types of tissues. Okay, and plant body, it is made up of basically two types of tissues, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. And this division is based on what? This division is based on the capacity to divide. Okay, meristematic tissue is made up of cells which have the capacity to divide. Okay, so they are dividing tissues. Okay, they will be dividing and adding up new cells in the plant body. Permanent tissue, permanent means they cannot divide. Okay, they have lost their division capacity. Now they cannot divide, right? They will just make the body of the plant, right? They will not be able to divide again. right? In certain cases, they can regain division capacity, that I will tell you later, but usually, normally, they will not divide. So based on whether the division capacity is present in the cells of the tissue or it is lost, you have two different types of tissues. First is meristematic tissue, where the cells of the tissues, they have division capacity. And the second one is called permanent tissues, where the cells of a particular tissue, they have lost the division capacity. Now they are not going to be divided normally. Okay, understood? Let's begin with meristematic tissue and let's study it in detail. NCERT writes about meristematic tissue that this meristematic word came from a Greek word which is called meristos. And what is the meaning of this word meristos? Meristos means divided. Okay, so it means that the tissue is dividing. Okay, sorry, the cell is dividing in this tissue. Okay, now growth in plants is largely restricted to specialized regions of active cell division, which is called meristem. Now think about a plant, okay? Just think about any kind of plant and think about a plant in a way that, have you seen plant is growing from each and every part of its body, or every cell of plant body can divide? No, right? In fact, for us also, we don't have a majority of the cells, like we have very few cells which have division capacity. Rest all are not able to divide. But in plant body, you can see that they have some special areas or special zones or specific regions where the cells can divide, and they will divide throughout their life, right? They are called meristematic regions or meristems. Okay, and usually you will find meristems at different places in the plant body, not everywhere. So based on the position of the meristematic cells, you can divide the meristematic tissues under different categories like apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem. What I said? I said that meristematic tissue means the cells of this tissue, they are having division capacity. They are able to divide, right? In entire plant body, you will see there are some specific areas or specific regions where these dividing cells are present. Based on the position of these dividing cells, you can classify the meristematic tissue in the plant body under three categories: apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem, based on the position where they are present. So I will draw a very simple line diagram so that you can understand what I'm talking about, right? Maybe this kind of diagram, maybe you have seen in some books. Okay, fine. A small diagram I have made here. Now you can see that always you have seen that from the tip only the cells are going to grow, right? Here also you can see there is a tip in which the cells are there, which will be dividing, right? Now I'll be drawing here one more thing, otherwise you will get confused what is this structure. Okay, fine. Okay, now some more layers I'm adding where you can see dividing cells are present. Okay, and then like this I'm drawing, or better I should draw as per NCERT diagram like this. Okay, fine. Okay, so you can see I have marked some areas with blue color here. Okay, now you can see this entire structure is what? This is shoot, and here this I have drawn, it is root. Fine. Okay, okay, fine. And this area is what? This is shoot tip. Shoot tip. At shoot tip, can you see some dividing cells? These are called shoot apical meristem. Okay, this is the first type of apical meristem based on position. Okay, apical meristem. And this shoot tip is also known as shoot apex. At the tip, it is present. So the dividing cells which are present at the tip of the shoot, they are called shoot apical meristem. Okay, then here you can see this area. This is what? This is root apex or root tip. Okay, and this structure which I have drawn, it is a protective structure which is called root cap. Okay, now Here you can see some dividing cells are present at the tip of root apex. This is called root apical meristem. This is the second type of apical meristem. So you can see that on the distant most region of the root and stem, you have some dividing cells which are positioned where they are actively dividing and they are adding new cells. Okay, this area is adding cells in the lower direction and this is adding cells in the upper direction. Because of this, what will happen? You will see a visible characteristic growth in the plant taking place. Plant will elongate, right? It will increase in the length. Fine. And then you can see some more cells which are dividing, which will be adding new cells on both the side. This area is called intercalary meristem. So I will be labeling that also intercalary meristem. Okay. I'll explain you later in the points. I'm just representing here in the diagram. And here you can see this is called lateral meristem. Okay, which is like cylindrical, circular in nature. Okay, and it appears later in the life of plant. I will tell you later what is the meaning of this. Okay, it's a secondary meristem. So you can see based on position, you have basically three types of meristem. Okay, apical meristem. Okay, apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. So can I say that plant body is having dividing cells everywhere or entire plant body is made up of dividing cells? No. The cells which are made by these meristematic cells, they will become permanent cell. Some like, let's suppose here one cell is dividing and adding two cells, right? This is meristematic cell. One will remain meristematic, another will become permanent. This permanent cell actually makes the plant body. Here, whatever cells you are able to see here, they are all permanent cells, right? Permanent cells. Plant body is actually made up of permanent cells. Meristematic cells are only specifically present at the specific areas or regions like apex, like intercalary area, and in the lateral area you will see. Okay, so growth in plant is largely restricted to the special regions of active cell division called meristem. Meristematic tissues are of different types. Plant body is composed of different types of meristematic tissue, and I already told you what's the meaning of apical meristem. NCERT writes about it. The meristem which occur at the tips of roots and shoots. Okay, it is the meristem which is present at the tips of roots and shoots and it produces primary tissues. It is called apical meristem. So 2 points you have to remember. First thing, apical meristem is present at the tip, at the apex, right? Both at the shoot tip and at the root tip. Another thing, it is going to divide. The cells of this meristematic area is going to divide and they are going to add primary permanent tissues. Okay. Primary permanent tissue. What's the meaning of primary permanent tissue? Primary permanent tissues are parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, right? All these different types of tissues, xylem, phloem, primary phloem, by which the plant body is made. Okay, I will explain you after the class what is like after the complete write-up. I will explain you how it will work. Okay, so you understood? Primary meristem is going to make primary tissue. This apical meristem, intercalary meristem, together they are called primary meristem because they are present since the birth of the plant. Okay, understood? Fine. Now the same figure is given here in NCERT. You can see that they have mentioned here this is the root tip and this is the shoot tip, and you can see here they have shown by that dotted area that this is shoot apical meristematic region, this is root apical meristematic region. Understood? And some plenty of more things they have shown here that this is the leaf primordia, or you can say precursor of leaf, right? Precursor of leaves. Okay, this is axillary bud. Here also dividing cells are present. This is the differentiating vascular tissue. Vascular tissue is getting formed here. This is the central cylinder. This is the cortex region. The different layers of fruit you are going to read in some time in this chapter. You will be able to understand. Okay, now root apical meristem also occupies the tip of root, while the shoot apical meristem occupies the distant most region of stem, that is shoot tip. Understood? Now they have mentioned that during the formation of leaves and elongation of stem, some cells are left behind from the shoot apical meristem and they will become a part or they will constitute the axillary bud. So in the figure they have shown here axillary bud. Can you see here in this diagram? What's the meaning of this axillary bud? See, try to understand a situation that you have a seed like this and it will be having an embryo inside it. Okay, seed will be having an embryo inside it. Okay, when this seed will germinate, what is going to happen? When this seed is going to germinate, you will see that, okay, So this is our root and the stem like this. Okay. Now this is our meristematic zone. This is our meristematic zone. Okay. Now what next will happen? Okay. Two leaves you can already see. New cells are being added up here. This should grow up, right? So you will be able to see something like this. These leaves are already there. Okay. By this time they will be growing like this. Okay. And this is our root. Okay. This is our meristematic zone. This is our meristematic zone. What has happened here? These meristematic cells were keeping on adding permanent cells, primary permanent cells to the downside. And when they were going up, some of the meristematic cells, they were left behind here itself, right? Some of the meristematic cells, they were left behind here itself. Those meristematic cells which are present in this area, can you find one angle here? Can you find one angle here in between the leaf and the stem? One angle is there. Those meristematic cells which are present in this angle, right, in this area here, they will become a part of a bud. And that bud is called axillary bud. Okay, this bud is called axillary bud. And this area near the node, you know na, the leaves are present near the node, right? So these structures, these you can see these particular you can say structure is called node, right? So the meristematic cells which are present at the node, they will become a part of another type of meristem which we all know, it is called intercalary meristem, right? So can I say that axillary bud and intercalary meristem both are derived from shoot apical meristem? Understood? So if they ask a question, axillary bud, the cells present in the axillary bud and the cells present in the intercalary meristem, they are secondary or primary meristem, right? So they are primary meristem because shoot apical meristem is present since birth. Even in the embryo itself, you can see the shoot apical meristem and root apical meristem you will mark, right? At the tip of radicle and plumule in that case. So because it is present since birth, that's why it is called primary meristem. So shoot apical meristem is responsible for being present in the axillary bud and intercalary meristem. They are derived from shoot apical meristem, you can say this. Okay, so understood how these axillary buds are formed. Axillary bud is very important because axillary bud is responsible for making either a branch or a flower. Okay, fine. So this is written. So such buds which are present in the axil of leaf. I told you, right, that this area where one bud is present and this is the leaf, right? This makes one angle, axil. This is that angle. So this area, this angle is called axil, leaf axil, right? So any kind of bud which is present in the axil of leaf, it is called axillary bud. And which type of meristematic cells this axillary bud is having? Shoot apical meristem. Understood? Okay, what this axillary bud is going to grow into? It is going to grow itself either into a branch or into a flower. Okay, either into a branch or into a flower. You can see it is mentioned here. Understood? Understood how axillary buds are formed? Now I already told you about intercalary meristem also. Same ways intercalary meristems are also formed. You can see I have given a diagram here. Okay, some of the cells were left behind in this area itself when this was growing up, right? Those cells which are positioned near the nodes, they will become intercalary meristem, and those meristematic cells which are present in the leaf axil, they will become axillary bud. Okay, so the meristem which is present between the mature tissue is called intercalary meristem, and they occur in the grasses and they regenerate the lost part which are removed by grazers, okay, or herbivores. So maybe you have seen that grasses are there. So herbivores, what they will do, they will just pinch off the uppermost part of the grasses, right? They will eat the grasses, so the tip part they will eat, right? So what will happen if tip is removed? Then there is no shoot apical meristem, and if there is no shoot apical meristem, what will happen? Then can the stem elongate further? No, right? So it cannot grow further. For that, it requires that intercalary meristem. Okay, intercalary meristem is derived from shoot apical meristem, so it will act like shoot apical meristem and it will regenerate the lost part. Okay, so very important role of intercalary meristem is it is present in between the mature tissues. It is dividing, present in between the permanent tissue. That's why it is called intercalary. Intercalary means sandwiched in between, right? In between the mature tissues. And what is its work? It is going to regenerate the lost parts, okay, which are removed by the grazing herbivores. Understood? This you have to remember. Okay, now I have used this term primary meristem, but it is not given like that in NCERT from the beginning. So here I am going to tell you that they have mentioned here this apical meristem as well as intercalary meristem. These two meristems together are called primary meristem. Very, very important. Okay, see, you just tell me what is the first stage of a plant when the plant is inside the seed. Inside the seed, which stage is there? Embryonic stage, right? In this embryo, do you have any kind of meristem? Yes. You have apical meristem or not? Okay, what are the apical meristems? Please tell me. Shoot apical meristem as well as root apical meristem. These two meristem you will always draw in the embryo or not? Every time you will draw them, right? It means that apical meristem is primary in origin. Okay, the previous thing I told you was on the basis of position where they are located. This diversion is based on the origin. Okay, if the origin is primary, okay, means appear early in the life. Okay, they appear early in life of plant. When the plant is in embryo stage, that time itself you have dividing cells, and those dividing cells are apical meristems, shoot apical meristem and root apical meristem. Now if I talk about these two meristems, root apical meristem and shoot apical meristem, which are present there in those embryonic stage itself, I told you one more here. They have mentioned intercalary. Why intercalary is included here? Intercalary meristem is not there in embryo. Any idea? Intercalary meristem we have added because this is derived from this, right? Right? So it means basically it is shoot apical meristem only. So these two are present since birth, right? They are present since birth of the plant. They have formed earlier in the life of plant. That's why they are called primary meristem. And always remember, primary meristem always forms primary permanent tissues. Okay, primary meristem always form primary permanent tissue. Parenchyma, collenchyma, any kind of primary organ which you can see in the plant, leaf, stem, green color stem, young root. All of these things are developed because of these meristems. Understood? So it is responsible for primary growth of the plant body. Okay, primary growth. What is the meaning of primary growth? Primary growth means you must form primary organs like leaf, stem, root, okay, young stem, young leaf. Okay, so primary plant body is formed by primary meristem by forming primary permanent tissues. Okay, now secondary meristem. Okay, what is the meaning of secondary meristem? Secondary meristem only and only develops or appear in the mature part of the root and stem of many plant. Not all the plant, many plant. Okay, can I say primary meristem appears in each and every plant? Yes. Can I say secondary meristem appears in each and every plant? No, right? Actually, secondary meristem is responsible for making wood, okay, in the plant body. Okay, what's the role of primary meristem? Okay, to do primary growth. What's the meaning of primary growth? Two meanings are there: formation of primary organs like root, stem, leaf, and increase in length of the plant. Okay, formation of primary organ and increase in length of plant. Understood? So if the length of the plant is increasing, it means primary growth is occurring. Now just imagine that if a seed has germinated and if it is making new leaf, new root, it is developing the stem branches, everything is happening, right? till how much time this can continue. If you are thinking about a mango tree or a guava tree or banyan tree or any kind of woody axis containing tree, what you will see, after attaining a particular length, what is going to happen? After that, what is going to happen is that the plant is going to now increase in the girth or width, right? So width is increased, the girth is increased by forming wood inside the plant. Okay, the plant has to become woody. And woody plants are which plants? Dicot plants. Monocot plants like grasses, like banana, like these plants, they don't do any kind of secondary growth. So they don't develop any secondary meristem. Right? That's why it is mentioned that it is the meristem which is present in the mature regions of many plants, not all plants. And what are those many plants? Most of the dicot plants. Understood? Okay, particularly those plants which produce woody axis, right? And these particular meristematic regions, they appear later than the primary meristem. They develop later in the life of plant, and they are called, that's why they are called secondary meristem, and based on the position they are called lateral meristem. Understood? Okay, I will be talking about secondary meristem in detail when I will be discussing secondary meristem in detail. Okay, in this lecture, we are not going to study about secondary growth, so I am not talking about secondary meristem in detail. But you have to understand that one meristem appears early in the life of plant, which is responsible for primary growth, which is responsible for increasing the length of the plant, making new organs, primary organs, that is called primary meristem. Okay, apical meristem, intercalary meristem is a type of primary meristem. Secondary meristem appears later in the life of plant. It is responsible for increasing the girth or increasing the amount of wood in the plant. So developing the wood in the plant, right? That is called secondary meristem. When you will see, it is cylindrical in nature. When you will cut the section of root or stem which is undergoing secondary growth, it will appear like a circle, right? Which I will discuss in the coming session. Examples, please remember, they will directly ask a question, which among the following is odd one out for primary meristem or secondary meristem, or odd one pair, like that they can ask. So fascicular vascular cambium, interfascicular cambium, and core cambium. Please remember these three examples: fascicular vascular cambium, interfascicular vascular cambium, and core cambium. These are the three examples of secondary meristem. But I would like to correct here, interfascicular cambium is correct, core cambium is correct, but here fascicular vascular cambium is actually in origin it is primary, but function wise it is secondary. I told you primary meristem will always make primary permanent tissue. Like that, secondary meristem always divide and they form secondary permanent tissues. Okay, which is responsible for secondary growth. And what is the meaning of secondary growth? Meaning of secondary growth is increase in width or girth and wood formation. These are the two meanings. Understood? And all these three meristems are responsible for these functions. That's why the name is example of the secondary meristem. Position wise, it is called lateral because it is appearing in the side. Okay. Now, they have mentioned the same thing. They are responsible for forming secondary permanent tissue like secondary phloem, secondary xylem, right? Secondary medullary ray, like this. Many names you will be hearing in coming parts. So our meristematic tissues are over. Now we have to talk about permanent tissue. So actually see, the body of a plant is not only made up of meristematic tissue, major part of the plant body is composed of permanent tissue. Meristematic regions are only present at the tips or maybe laterally or maybe on intercalary regions near the nodes, right? The rest all part of the plant body is made up of permanent tissue. Can they divide? Usually, normally, permanent tissues are not having any kind of division capacity. Only parenchyma is a type of permanent tissue which can regain division capacity sometimes. Okay. Now, following divisions of cells in both primary as well as secondary meristem, the newly formed cells become structurally and functionally specialized, right? Let's suppose this is a meristematic cell. Okay, this cell has division capacity. Now division capacity is present in this cell. What will happen next? This cell is going to divide by mitosis and it is going to form two daughter cells. Okay, mitosis results in formation of two daughter cells, that is known to you, right? Now one of the daughter cell will remain meristematic, otherwise then how new cells will be keeping on continuing to be added in the plant body, right? So one will remain meristematic. Another cell is going to become permanent. A permanent means mean that it is not going to divide. So now it is going to change. Okay, it is going to change its structure, maybe it is going to change its physiology. Okay, it is going to change its biochemistry. Everything in this cell, whatever is required to do a particular function, will change, and that change will result in the formation of a specialized cell. Okay, specialized cell for a particular function. Okay, when a permanent cell is going to change and become specialized to serve a particular function, this entire process is called differentiation. Okay, this entire process is called differentiation. The thing is that this should be primary permanent cell, and this should be primary permanent cell. This should be primary meristematic cell, and this should be primary permanent cell. Okay, fine. Now this can do a particular function and it will lose the division capacity. Understood? Okay, fine. Such cells which have lost division capacity, they became specialized. Now they are going to do a particular work. Maybe they will be doing some secretion, maybe they are doing some storage, maybe they are doing photosynthesis, maybe they are providing mechanical support. Plenty of functions they can do, right? So particular function served by a particular type of tissue is only because of being specialized, losing division capacity, and becoming non-dividing, specialized functionally and structurally. Now, during the formation of the primary plant body means when the embryo is going to develop into a primary plant, right? When the embryo has to transform into a plant which is having leaves, root, stem, everything, right? So when a primary growth is occurring, right, primary plant body is occurring, specific regions of apical meristem, they are going to produce dermal tissues, ground tissues, and vascular tissue. So if somebody asks you a question, what is the result of primary growth in the plant body? So the result of primary growth in the plant body is the formation of dermal tissue, like epidermis will be formed. Okay, ground tissue includes all the tissues except epidermis and vascular tissue. So cortex, pericycle, endodermis, all these layers which you will study, which you are going to study in the upcoming part, this all will be created or formed by primary growth only. And vascular tissue like primary xylem, primary phloem, these all also develop because of primary growth by primary meristematic cell by making primary tissue. Understood? Okay, fine. Now, the cells, they don't have any division capacity. They generally do not divide. Generally is mentioned. It means sometimes they can. Okay, this is important word. Okay, sometimes they might divide or they might regain division capacity. Okay, and this will happen when? This happens during formation of secondary meristem. I will tell you later, but try to understand this, or you can write in your NCERT. Generally word, just understand this, that usually they should not divide, but sometimes they can regain the division capacity when they are making secondary meristem. Okay, now forget about this. I will tell you in another upcoming session what is the meaning of all these things. Now, based on the type, based on the cell type, okay, whether the permanent tissue is made by same type of cell or dissimilar type of cells, you have two different types of permanent tissue. First is called simple permanent, second is called complex permanent. So simple permanent tissues are made by same cells. All the cells making that tissue are similar. Okay, for example, that in your class you all are from class 11th, so you all are simple permanent tissue. But let's suppose you are watching, you are from class 11th, some are from class 12th, some are from you can say repeater. So if you are different types of students and then you are watching this video, then you are complex type of crowd, right? If only one single you can say class students are watching, then you are simple type of crowd. Understood? Like that, the tissues can be divided into simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. In the simple permanent tissue, only similar types of cells are present. For example, parenchyma cells, all cells are same. Collenchyma cells, all cells are same. Okay, sclerenchyma cells, all cells are same in that also. But if you talk about complex permanent tissues like xylem and phloem, there are two types of complex permanent tissue which I named, and xylem is made up of four different types of dissimilar types of cells, right? Phloem is made up of four dissimilar types of cells, okay, namely seed tube elements, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fiber, right? So the thing is that either they are made up of same type of cells or they are made up of different type of cells. All must have common origin and all must work like a unit to perform one single function. Understood? Fine. Let's talk about simple permanent tissues. See, I have created one chart from NCERT for the ease of its learning. You can remember this chart like parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. There are certain points to keep in mind which you have to at any cost remember because they are asking questions from here. Parenchyma cells and collenchyma cells have one thing in common, that they both are made up of living cells. All the cells which make parenchyma as well as collenchyma, they are living cells, not dead. But sclerenchyma, when they get mature, they will lose all the living part or living component of the cell, that is called protoplasm, and the cell will be dead at maturity. So first thing you have to remember, parenchyma, collenchyma, they have living cell. These tissues are made up of living cells, but sclerenchyma, it is made up of dead cell. They will differentiate in a way, they will change. I told you na meaning of differentiation. When the meristematic cells are dividing, they will become specialized, they will change themselves, their structure, their physiology, their chemistry, biochemistry, they will change themselves and they will be able to do a particular function. So here the differentiation of this cell is like it will lose all its protoplasm and it will become dead at maturity. Understood? Now let's talk about their shape. Okay, you have to remember their shape also. You can see here they can be spherical, oval, round, polygonal, or elongated. So you can remember SPORE, spore. Okay, spherical, polygonal, oval, round, elongated. Okay, and more or less they all will be having similar diameter. That's why the cells will be isodiametric. Okay, please remember this, isodiametric cells. This is the feature of parenchymatous cells. Okay, collenchyma on the other hand, you can see they are spherical. Okay, they are polygonal, oval. Okay, oval, spherical, polygonal, only that much is given. Okay, and they can have a lot of chloroplast also. They often can have chloroplast as well. So if they ask a question like this, which among the following can be able to do photosynthesis, or which among the following tissues are able to do photosynthesis? Parenchyma only, collenchyma only, parenchyma and collenchyma. So what will be the answer? Parenchyma and collenchyma, because a special type of parenchyma which will be having chloroplast will be considered as sclerenchyma or mesophyll tissue. It is definitely going to do photosynthesis, and sometimes you will see collenchyma. If it is having chloroplast, then it can also be doing photosynthesis. So you will be able to say that yes, parenchyma, collenchyma, both are able to do photosynthesis. But can sclerenchyma do photosynthesis? Just tell me, just think. They don't have any protoplasm. Will they have any kind of cell organelle inside their cytoplasm? They don't even have cytoplasm, right? They are dead. They can never ever do photosynthesis, right? So that is one thing. Now the shape here, see, there are two different types of sclerenchymatous tissue. One is called fiber, another is called sclerete. Okay, fiber and sclerete. So you can see fiber, as the name suggests, it will be long and narrow. Okay, and the scleretes can have different type of shapes. It can have spherical shape, oval shape, as well as cylindrical type of shapes. Okay, two types of scleretes are there. Fibers, two types of sclerenchyma are there. Fibers and sclerete, different shapes you have to remember. Okay, now let's talk about their cell wall. Cell wall is very thin and basically it is made up of cellulose in case of parenchymatous cell. But in collenchymatous cell, you have to remember that cells are having much thickening in the cell walls at the corners due to heavy deposition of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin, in which pectin is highest, right? I'll try to show you the figure which is given in NCERT. Okay, here you can see that all the cell wall, always remember here the cell wall is having uniform thickness. Okay, uniform thickness. Okay, cell wall is having uniform thickness. Everywhere similar amount of cellulose is deposited. But here, can you see uniform thickness? No, this is non-uniform. Okay, non-uniform thickness. Why? Because you have to remember corners. If you see the corners are more thick. Corners are more thick. They have very heavy deposition of pectin, right? They have cellulose, hemicellulose as well as pectin, but pectin is highest. Can you see here? In the corners, you can see heavy amount of thickening is present in the form of more amount of pectin, right? So this is what you have to remember. Thickening at corner is more, and the cell wall is having cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin, where pectin is very important. Here in the dead cells, in the sclerenchyma, you can see the cell wall is thick and lignified. Lignin is present, okay? Cell wall is thick and lignin is present, and it is having few or numerous pits also. So if you try to notice the diagram given here, here also I would like to tell you that the thickening is non-uniform. Okay, non-uniform thickness. Why non-uniform thickness? Because there are certain places where lignin is absent. Dekho. At some places lignin is present in high amount, and at some places lignin is absolutely absent. Okay, lignin is what? It is hydrophobic. Okay, and when lignin is not present, what will happen? That area is not hydrophobic, right? So where lignin is not present, that will be pit. That will be making a particular opening which is called pit. Okay, pit is that area through which water and all can pass. You can see here. Okay, let's suppose this is a fiber, and if I show you a fiber here, you can see here you have a lumen over here, right? And you can see this is the thickening in the cell wall. You have a lot of lignin here, right? Here lignin is present, but at these places, can you see? Lignin is absent. This is called pit. In fact, here also you can see pits. This entire thing which you can see in pink color, this is what? Lignin. And at several places you can see lignin is absent. And as a result, it is forming pit. Okay. And what is this area? This is called lumen. It is labeled also here, lumen. Right. So basically sclerites are present in the water conducting cells in, you can say in the xylem and phloem and all. Right. So water, if it is traveling here, definitely water has to enter inside this. So how it will enter if it is having everywhere lignin, right? So at places lignin is absent, that will form pit, and through pits, water can uh, you can say move to other cells also, right? Now this is done. Now they may either be closely packed or have small intercellular spaces. For parenchyma cell, please remember, either they can be closely packed or they can have small intercellular spaces. Small intercellular spaces are present here, right? When you will notice any kind of section of plant where you are going to find collenchyma, I am telling you, you will see this in young dicot stem, as well as you are going to see this in petiole, leaf petiole. Two places in the plant body only you will see collenchyma. It is absent in monocots. It is not present in the leaf, right? So in these two places, when you will see collenchyma is present, it can either be present as a homogeneous layer or it can be present in the patches. But the thing you have to remember, it does not have any intercellular spaces. Small intercellular spaces can be present in the parenchyma or they can be compactly arranged also, but there is no intercellular space in the uh, collenchyma, and there is no intercellular space in the fibers also. Their fiber and sclerites main work is to provide mechanical strength and support to the plant body. Imagine that if their organization is not compact, they are not packed tightly, will they be able to give any kind of mechanical strength? No, right? So they have very they don't have any intercellular space. Okay, this point is not mentioned in NCERT. Now, what are the functions of these different types of simple tissues? So in parenchyma, please remember, parenchyma does three important roles: storage, secretion and photosynthesis. Okay, you can see all these three roles here. And it also is responsible for acting like the most abundant tissue of the plant body, right? Please remember, it is most abundant tissue which is present in the plant body. Okay, it fills body of plant. When you will cut the section of any kind of plant, the majority of the tissue you are going to observe, okay, in all the layers, it will be parenchyma. Okay, fine. Now what about this collenchyma? You have to remember, this is living mechanical tissue. Okay, it is living mechanical tissue. Actually, it gives elasticity to the plant body because of heavy deposition of pectin. Pectin is that particular material or chemical which provides flexibility to the plant, right? So this flexibility to the plant body, like petiole is always fluttering, leaf is always fluttering in the wind because of the petiole is elastic, and petiole is having collenchyma which is having pectin, right? So because of this, the leaf is not getting detached, it is having that elastic behavior, so it is acting like a mechanical tissue. It is supporting the particular young growing part of the plants like petiole and dicot stem. Specifically dicot stem, monocot does not have any collenchyma, right? Now, what about the sclerenchyma? So sclerenchyma are of two types, fibers and trachete. Fibers basically, generally, mostly helps in mechanical support, and it also helps in conduction of water and all, because it will make vessels and trachetes also. And sclerete is very important because scleretes, okay, scleretes, they are found in the fruit walls of nuts, okay. Maybe you can think about walnut, maybe you can think about groundnut. Have you seen their shell? Okay, it is very tough and rigid, so it will be made up of this dead tissue which is sclerete, okay. In the pulp of fruits like guava, pear and sapota. Think about sapota, guava and pear. When you will eat them, you will have some gritty texture in your mouth, right? Because of those lignin containing lignified dead cells, right? Even in the seed coats of legumes, okay? You have seen pea pod. Just keep it for some days and it will turn out like uh, very you can say cream color structure which is very tough and rigid, right? So it is made up of sclerenchyma. That's why, okay. Leaves of tea also, you will see tea leaves, they are very tough and rigid, they are not very delicate and thin structures. No, they have plenty of scleretes in them, right? So these examples you have to remember every time they give questions. Match the following questions, find the odd one out question, which among the following is present in the tea leaves and all. So you have to remember this, okay. And they provide mechanical support to the organ. This is the chief mechanical tissue of the plants, chief mechanical tissue, right? Living mechanical tissue of plant, collenchyma. Chief mechanical tissue of the plant, sclerenchyma. Most abundant tissue in the plant body, parenchyma. Understood? Okay, you can have a look on this diagram again, and this completes our simple tissue. Now we have to learn about complex tissue. So let's see complex tissue. There are two types basically, xylem and phloem, and you all know, you have learned xylem and phloem from class 9th itself, right? What's the meaning of xylem? It is a complex tissue made up of 4 different types of cells, okay, namely trachetes, vessel, fiber and parenchyma. Xylem, fiber and xylem parenchyma only, right? What they'll do, they will conduct the water and mineral from roots to the stem and leaf. So they will deliver all the water and minerals absorbed through the roots, delivering to all the parts of the plant, right? And they also provide mechanical strength to the plant, okay. So conduction and providing mechanical strength, these are the two things which these tissues they do, okay. And the most important point, please remember, gymnosperm, they don't have vessel, they absolutely lack vessel. Angiosperms, right, they have vessel, trachete, xylem fiber and xylem parenchyma also. But gymnosperm, they don't have any vessel, they only have trachete, they only have xylem fiber, they only have xylem parenchyma. They don't have vessel, gymnosperm. Okay. Can you name which is the first group of plant where vascular bundles they have got originated? Please write in the comments from plant kingdom chapter. Now if you understood about xylem, we will first learn about trachete and vessels, okay. I would like to tell you together because their work is in the conduction. You can see here in flowering plants, trachete and vessel, the main water transporting elements, okay. So vessel and trachete together they are called, okay, because they are actually transporting the water throughout the plant body, they are called tracheary elements, okay. They are called tracheary elements because their major work is to conduct the water in the vertical direction, okay. Now what is the difference between trachete and vessel as per NCERT? See, trachetes are elongated or tube-like cells with thick and lignified wall and tapering end. So tell me, these are sclerenchymatous or not? If you will see the word lignin, just now you have learned, right? Lignin is present in which cell? Which is simple permanent cell? It is present in sclerenchyma. So it is dead, right? It is elongated, tube-like and dead. So if I want to simply draw a trachete, with the tapering ends, I can draw it like this. Okay, they don't have pointed sharp ends, they have tapering ends. Okay, tapering ends, and it is having a thick lignified walls, right? Thick lignified wall. They are hollow from inside. As a result, what will happen? You can conduct water through them like this. Okay, I am drawing some pits also so that you can see this is the lumen, right? This is the lignin or lignified wall. Okay, and these are the tapering ends. Okay, and water is you can say conducting through this lumen. Okay, and they are very long. Okay, trachea is one single cell, right? Tube like one cell. Tube like cell. Okay, this is the meaning of trachea. Okay, they are dead and they don't have protoplasm. Definitely, they don't have anything inside, hollow, right? The inner layer of cell wall have thickening which vary in form. The thing is that inner layer, when you will see the trachea, they can have different type of thickenings, maybe reticulate, maybe some other way in which lignin is deposited. Different types of tracheids are there based on the you can say lignin deposition in the inner wall, but that is not in our syllabus. That will not be asked to us also, but we can remember that yes, in the inner cell wall there are different types of thickness which are present, sometimes star like, sometimes disc like, sometimes reticulate. Okay, the presence of vessel is characteristic feature of angiosperm. Okay, fine. This point must be here, but it is written here. No problem. Vessel are very important feature of angiosperm. Angios itself means vessel, right? So angiosperms are having these vessels. Because of that only they are able to get, you can say, uh, like everywhere you can see angiosperms, right? They are widespread because of this reason. You will learn why. I'm just going to draw it. Okay, see. Just try to compare a vessel with a trachea. Okay, try to compare. See. Okay, laterals also you can remember like this. Fine. Okay, good. Now you can see this one cylindrical structure is called vessel member. Okay, this cylindrical tube-like structure. Okay, this is actually tube-like, but this is tube-like cylindrical. This one single tube-like cylindrical cell is called vessel member. Okay, this vessel member, this vessel member, together all these vessel member, I am writing VM. All these vessel members together they form what? They form vessel. So can I say vessel is made up of multiple cell but trachea is made up of one single cell? Yes, right? Vessel is a long cylindrical tube-like structure. The vessel cells also are dead. They don't have any kind of protoplasm. They only have lignin containing cell walls and no protoplasm at all. They are interconnected with the help of these perforations. Can you see here? These are pits or perforations, right? This is the common wall. What's the meaning of common wall? Okay, common wall means, let's suppose this is one vessel, on top of this another vessel is there. So this wall which is touching this wall is called common wall. So two common walls of two different vessels, they have perforations, then only they can interact or not. Let's suppose this is one cell, this is another, this is a common wall, both will have the same place where lignin is absent and pit is present, right? So perforation or pit is same thing. Okay, lignin is absent. Now this vessel is made up of many vessel members and each is having lignified cells and a central cavity or lumen. So you can see that the lumen or cavity of vessel is wider as compared to the lumen or cavity of trachea. And which plants do not have vessels? Gymnosperms, there is no vessel. Angiosperm is the only characteristic plant which is having vessel. So that is why angiosperms are widespread distributed everywhere, because they have the you can say wider cells to transport or conduct water throughout the plant. Understood? Okay. And why these two are called tertiary elements? Because they are responsible for conducting water. Now, along with these two cells, you also have xylem parenchyma and xylem fiber. What's the work of xylem parenchyma over here? This is the only living cell, first of all, in the xylem tissue. Only living cell. Xylem parenchyma cells are living cells, thin walled, made up of cellulose, right? Xylem fiber, on the other hand, thick cell wall. Obliterated central lumen means no central lumen. Okay, that much lignin is present that the central lumen is actually absent. Okay, there is no lumen left like this. Obliterated, finished, almost finished. No central lumen is there, right? This kind of structure is there in xylem fiber. No lumen, obliterated central lumen. Okay, what's the work of parenchyma? Always they give question on this. Okay, xylem parenchyma, it stores food. It is storage. I told you parenchyma normally has three functions: photosynthesis, secretion, storage, right? Here they have mentioned what is stored in this xylem parenchyma: starch or fat. It will store starch or fat, and it can also be responsible for storing other substances like tannin, and whenever the need is there, it can secrete this tannin out in the form of tracheal plugs, which is also called thymosis. Okay, tracheal plugs. I'm not discussing much about this concept, but if you want, I can make a video and explain this. Okay. So what it is storing, that you must remember. It is storing starch or fat as well as tannin. Starch, fat, tannin. Please remember, they will replace starch or fat with something else. Okay. And it also responsible for radial conduction of water. Okay. Please remember, in the plant body, okay, there are certain cells which are like this, just like vessels and tracheids you have learned, right? Vessels and tracheids are responsible for vertical transport. Okay, vessel and tracheid, what they will do? Vertical conduction of water. Okay, then there will be certain cells which are present like in this direction. Okay, so water from here will also move in these cells. Okay, so here the cells which I have written here, this is xylem parenchyma, and xylem parenchyma is responsible for which kind of conduction? Radial conduction of water. Okay, that's why xylem parenchyma is also called ray parenchyma. Okay, which cell of xylem tissue is responsible for vertical conduction of water? Tracheid and vessel. Which cell of xylem tissue is responsible for radial conduction of water? Okay, you can say along to the radius. Okay, that is xylem parenchyma or ray parenchyma. Okay, xylem fiber they have mentioned, they can be septate or aseptate. Please learn this. There is no much relevance about this point. Just learn that xylem fiber can be septate or aseptate. Septa means cross wall is present, aseptate means absent, right? So these are the things about xylem which you have to remember. Now let's quickly complete phloem also. You all know that phloem is responsible for transporting food materials, okay, from leaves to the other part of the plant body, right? It will take all the food synthesized in the leaf and it will deliver it to everywhere in the plant body. Now, phloem in angiosperm is composed of sieve tube element, companion cell, phloem fiber, phloem parenchyma. Okay, four cells are mainly present here also. Okay, in the previous tissue, xylem, tell me how many cells were dead and how many were living. Write in comments. And in this one, three are living and one is dead. Okay, phloem fiber is dead, rest all are living. Okay, very important point, very important point. Gymnosperms, they have albuminous cells and sieve cells instead of sieve tube elements and companion cells, right? So instead of companion cell, they have albuminous cells, and instead of sieve tube, they have sieve cell. Please remember this. Okay, now what is sieve tube element? What is companion cell? Please remember, just like the previous case, okay, like you have learned vessel, somewhat similar structure is there in case of sieve tube element also. But the cells are not dead, they are living. Okay, these are the cells where in the center you have very big vacuole, and as a result, entire protoplasm is present on the periphery also. Periphery only, right? So the living part is present in the periphery, and the entire central part of the cylindrical cell is occupied by its cytoplasm, right? They are arranged longitudinally, tube-like arrangement is there on top of each other. They are arranged and they are living cells. and their end walls are also common end walls. They are perforated. Okay. Here they have used the term end wall for this. There they have used common wall. Here they have mentioned the term end walls. They are perforated. Perforations are these holes. Okay, these are perforations, and due to the perforations, you will call this as sieve plate. This end wall is called sieve plate. Sieve, you know, right? That sieve which you will use at home for filtering and all. So that sieve is having small pores, right? Like that, the common walls, end walls of each and every cell, they are having sieves, right? Now, just right next to this, there is a cell sitting over here. This cell is called companion cell, right? So if this is a sieve tube element, this is a companion cell. This is arranged just lateral to the sieve tube element. You can see companion cell, specialized parenchymatous cell. This is a parenchyma cell, which are closely associated with the sieve tube element. The sieve tube element and companion cell are connected by pit fields. So in between these two cells, there is something which is called pit field. Okay, and what will happen here? Definitely there will be some mesophyll cell. Okay, because I am talking about a leaf. This all is happening in a leaf, right? So mesophyll cell is there, companion cell is there, and sieve tube element is there, and this is a plasmodesmata. So the food which is formed here will go in the companion cell, and companion cell will deliver this food in the sieve tube element. Please remember, sieve tube element at maturity, it is dead and it does not have its own nucleus. It will lose the nucleus also. It is having a peripheral cytoplasm devoid of any nucleus. Along with the human red blood cell, we don't have nucleus in the sieve tube element also, right? So all the functions are performed, or like all the functions occurring in the sieve tube elements are regulated by companion cell. That's why it is called companion. It is helping out sieve tube element in building the pressure gradient so that food can be transported, right? So once the companion cell will deliver the food here, okay, what will happen? Pressure gradient will develop. What's the meaning of pressure gradient? Here, what will happen? Just next to this, there will be vessels. Okay, as you have filled the solute, that is sugar here, the water potential of this cell will go down because solute will increase. So water will keep on coming from vessel, and as a result, what will happen? Pressure will increase here, right? Pressure will increase and the food will move from here to wherever it has to get delivered. Let's suppose in this cell, right? So all the food will come here. Okay, then water will be only left here. All the solute went. So if water only is there, then again water will move from high potential to low water potential, and again the pressure is built normal. Okay, this is how the food get transported, but that transport mechanism is not in our NCERT. You just have to remember the points, right? Which cell is not having nucleus, which is actually maintaining to build the pressure gradient inside which cell, right? These all points you have to remember. Sieve tube element is a living cell. Companion cell is a living cell. Companion cell is always associated closely with the sieve tube element. It is responsible for building the pressure gradient in the sieve tube element by filling it with the solute which is synthesized in the leaf, right? This is what you have to learn. Okay. Now, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers, also certain things are given in NCERT. Please remember each and every point here. Phloem parenchyma is made up of elongated, tapering cylindrical cells which have dense cytoplasm and nucleus. So, normally parenchyma, you have learned it's having all kind of shapes, right? Elongated is also there. So, here these cells are elongated and they have tapering cylindrical cells. Okay. The cell wall is composed of cellulose because it is a living cell, and it can also have certain pits through which the plasmodesmatal connections can exist between other cells. Okay, because this cell will be responsible for storing certain food, so it must interact with other cell with the help of pit and you can say plasmodesmata. It will be interacting with other cell. Now, phloem parenchyma stores food materials and other substances like resin, latex, and mucilage. This is the most important thing which you have to remember. In the previous case, in the xylem parenchyma, what it was storing? It was storing either fat or it was storing either fat or starch, right? Here this is storing, okay, fat or starch. It was storing fat or starch. This is having resins, latex, and mucilage. Okay, now Phloem parenchyma is absent in monocot. Most of the monocots it is absent. Always they give a question on this. Phloem parenchyma absent in monocot stem. Right? In most of the monocots, phloem parenchyma is absent. Phloem fiber or bast fiber. This is the economical name of phloem fiber. Okay. It is made up of dead cells, sclerenchymatous cells. They are generally absent in the primary phloem. In the primary phloem fiber absent. What is the work of fiber? Please tell me. Fiber is a dead cell. Okay, what this will do, it will be responsible for giving mechanical strength. If it is responsible for giving mechanical strength and you are talking about a primary phloem, and primary phloem will be formed in the primary plant require any kind of mechanical strength at that time when it is just growing? No. So there is no fiber in the young plant. Primary phloem lacks phloem fiber. Understood? There are different types of phloem. Primary phloem, secondary phloem. Secondary phloem will have phloem fiber because at that time secondary growth has to happen, right? So I'll tell about these all things extended way in another video. Please remember these points right now. That's why I have this session, so that you can actually keep these points in your mind. Okay. So absent in the primary phloem. These are much elongated, unbranched, pointed needle-like apices. So these are the structural details about that cell. That cells are elongated. They don't have any branch. They have pointed needle-like ends, right? Now, the cell wall of phloem is quite thick. At maturity, these fibers lose their protoplasm and they become dead. Definitely. And the fibers of jute, flax, and hemp are commercially used. So these three names you have to remember: jute, flax, and hemp. These are the three, you can say, crops or plants which are responsible for giving you commercially or economically important fibers. Okay. So these are the different types of, you can say, cells which are making phloem. So today you have completed up to different type of tissues, right? And in the next class you will be reading about tissue system and different types of transfer sections when you will cut the root, stem, and leaf, what you are going to observe. So primary structures internal study you have to do in the next class. Okay, before that we have some questions to do so that we can learn that how much we have understood. Okay, you can see the first question, very easy question. Tissues are group of cells which are similar in origin and function. Groups of organs which are similar in origin or function. Cells which are similar in function but not in origin, and groups of cells which are not similar in origin and function. I'm giving you 2 seconds. Please give the answer. You know very well, tissues are group of cells which are similar in origin and they are similar in function, right? Plant tissues are divided into meristematic and permanent tissues on which of the following basis? What is the basis on which you are dividing all the tissues as meristematic and permanent? You know very well, right? Are you dividing them on the basis of position? No. You are dividing them whether the cells can have the division capacity, right? Or they have lost the division capacity, right? So whether the cells being formed are capable of dividing or not. Okay. Then the axillary bud is constituted by the cells left behind from which were the cells which were making axillary bud? Please tell me. Which cells were left behind which were becoming the part of axillary bud when the shoot was growing? It was shoot apical meristem, right? Same I can write about intercalary meristem. Which cells are constituted by intercalary meristem? Same answer. Okay. What is the function of lateral meristem? What lateral meristem will do? First of all, what is lateral meristem? Lateral meristem means secondary meristem. I told you primary meristem functions and secondary meristem function. What is the function? Lateral branches? No. Who will make this? Lateral branches will be formed by axillary bud. It will increase the girth or width of the plant axis. Increasing the length, who will do? Primary meristem. Increases only length of plant axis? Wrong, right? Parenchymatous cells are dead? No. Are they thick-walled? No. Are they thin-walled? Yes. Are they thick-walled and dead? No. Right? Collenchyma differs from parenchyma in. How collenchyma is different from parenchyma? They both have thick wall? No. This is having thin, this is having thick. Okay. This can be our answer, right? Okay. Collenchyma differs from parenchyma in possessing thick cell wall, lacking protoplasm, containing chloroplast, usually being meristematic. Okay. So possessing thick cell wall, right? Here you have thickening in the cell wall. Remember, at the corners you have more pectin deposition. You have cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin here, but pectin is in highest amount, right? Parenchyma mein you only have cellulosic cell wall, which is thin, right? So this is the difference or not? Okay, which among the following are absent in collenchyma? What is not present in collenchyma? Can you tell me? Chloroplast is present. Vacuoles, definitely every cell will have vacuole. Pectin is present, but do we have any kind of intercellular spaces? I already told you intercellular spaces are absolutely absent in collenchyma, right? Okay, the elongated, thick-walled, tapering cells are, okay, elongated, thick-walled as well as tapering. This is about sclerenchyma or not. They are elongated, they are thick-walled, and they are having tapering and fiber, right? Sclerids are commonly found in fruit walls of nuts. Can you tell me some other things? Okay, you can see this in the pulp of guava, sapota, and pear, right? In the leaves of tea. Okay, fine. Legumes also you can say. Okay, what is the function of vessels in the flowering plant? They transport food, they get rid of excess water. Photosynthesis, transport of water and mineral. What is the work of the vessel, which is characteristic feature of angiosperm and absent in gymnosperm? Transport of water and mineral. So I hope you have understood this. I hope that you have got benefit from this session. Anything you require further, you can come write down in the comments. Please write whether this is helpful to you or not, so that we can bring up more sessions for you. Please share this video to your friends so that they can also access to the information, right? Thank you. Bye.